All right, back home. Just got back from a boots on the ground. Last night, couple hours, even into the dark. Early this morning, pretty much all day until 1 o'clock. That was my drop dead time. I had to come back. I'll tell you, I knew what I was looking for. I knew what it looked like. I knew a general vicinity of, like, it's in these couple cities where it's at, pretty small circle. There's a trail cam on the thing. Still couldn't find it. So if I have any hope to succeed at one of these major ones, I gotta nail one of these little ones down. I mean, it's pretty. I went out there with so much confidence. It's very, very humbling to know. Oh, I got these clues. I know what it looks like. I know roughly where it's at, and I come back empty-handed, just sore legs. But a lot of experience, a lot of memories, so a lot of practice. I guess that's a good sight, right? Always good to be a little bit humbled, especially with a boots on the grounds exercise. Okay, so for tonight, my notes I realize are across. So let me stretch and get those. We're gonna cover a story in a little bit different way. We're gonna talk about the Treasure Tempest, which I'm excited about because it's the start of a 6-story arc for Victoria Peak, right? He spends, I think, like 4 stories or 5 on Tucker. There's 2 for his mother. His dad appears in like 3. It's pretty significant that he spends 6 on Victoria Peak, right? That's very telling. I think there's something we're looking for there. Now, here's how my mind has changed, which all of our minds should change and evolve throughout life. That's like a whole different video. But for this treasure hunt, right? You should ever be evolving and changing with new data, new information that you're taking in. You should put that in with your thought process, right? Because if you were spot on from day one, if you didn't need a change, then you should already have the treasure by now, right? So that's just a little freebie right there. Anyways, with all the new data, new information that I've taken in recently, really want to shout out the podcast by Jam and Emma. If you haven't seen it yet, come treasure hunt with us. Treasure hunt with us. I should have nailed down before I gave him a shout out. I should have nailed down exactly what it's called. But they just did an interview with Justin Posey. They put it up there last night. So really great. While I was in pitch black. Well, not pitch black. There was a full moon last night. So it was really, really good starlight. Really good moonlight. So I was walking back. I was listening to the podcast. So it kept me from being alone in the dark. Anyways, with the new information there, here's how a timeline I've constructed, right? And this is my own personal thoughts, not an expert or anything, just one guy with a YouTube channel. Here's how I envision it went down, right? And you can tell me if it makes sense or not. So Justin wants to do this hunt. He puts it together. I think he put the poem together first, right, in my mind. 4 to 6 hours, he goes, I'm going to put this treasure out. He might have already had an idea of where he wants to put it. Maybe he does does one of the recon missions beforehand, I think he knew in his mind that's my personal opinion of where he wanted to put it, right? Someplace significant, not someplace named in the book, but significant. So he has his poem, puts it together, 4 to 6 hours, boom, bangs it out, poem. He knows he's been approached by Netflix. He knows he's going to be in this documentary. So he starts to put together a set of clues that, okay, I put this poem together. This is how I want people to try to attempt it, try to solve it. Here's some clues for how to go about that. Let me see if I can work them in whenever I'm being filmed. So he realizes that he doesn't have a lot of control, or maybe he thought he was going to have some bit of control, or maybe he thought he was going to have more leeway. Regardless of what he thought, he realizes, man, I've got no say in how many of these clues come out. There could be 0. I need to work on something else. So he puts together a book. Boom, bangs it out. I think he describes it in like it takes a couple weeks. Boom, bangs it out. And it's longer than what's needed. His editor helps him narrow it down. He shouts out his editor quite a few times. All right, so now I've got this book. I think he already knew the clues because he knows how to solve the poem. So he knows what hints would be useful because being a treasure hunter, right, being in that community for such a long time, engaging in discourse for years. So he wanted to put those in the Netflix, realized that he couldn't count on that, so he put them in the book, right? Because he already, to bang out a book that quickly, you already had kind of a framework, and it seemed like from reading the book, it's natural framework, right? It's stories of your childhood. Who doesn't know stories of their childhood, right? So it's not a unfamiliar subject that he has to research or do a lot of in-depth writing, right? Like JCB talks about, it took him 5 years to put this book together, right? Or if you want to get technical, maybe 2 years at the back end. A couple weeks, that's all it took. So in my mind, here's what I'm looking for now. Where before I was looking for maybe minute details, minute words, trying to link together, I'm now looking for bigger themes and clues that possibly could have been included in a Netflix, but or in a film medium, but were changed some way or couldn't rely on. So now you put those in the book. So I think with something like that, you don't have to get cute with words and analogies and metaphors and all that other fun stuff. I think you can, spend six stories on a certain topic, Victoria Peak, and there's something from that that's going to apply to the poem. I think you can talk about your dog for 4 or 5 stories, and there's something about that that's going to apply to the poem. So I'm thinking, and I'm guilty of this. I mean, I know this is my lane, this is my wheelhouse. I'm guilty of being too big picture, of not going down deep in the woods, of just big picture, main topic, and applying that, right? So that's what this channel is all about. I don't get too crazy, too detailed too often. So if you're looking for something like that, probably find it somewhere else. But if you want just a layman's term, layman's definition, layman's approach, I get cute with a couple ideas. Every once in a while, I'll have a little good idea fairy whisper to me. But all right, so that being said, let's look at the Treasure Tempest, right? The Treasure Tempest. So in the old days, old me, like 2 days ago me, would have said, okay, on page 46, you can see he talks about blending into the shadows. So that's a reference to shadowed sight. So anytime something's shadowed, we need to make a note. On page 49, he talks about Dust Devil. If we're looking for lore and stories of the American Southwest, Dust Devil is something we want to put down. But I'm not doing that anymore. So just ignore that. Don't even listen to those. Don't even pay attention to page 46 and 49 and blending in the shadows and Dust Devils. No. What we're looking for now is larger concepts. For example, page 46. Larger concepts like the last sentence, that night at age 12, I became a treasure hunter. Is that, okay, so he says that, and that's what he says. But wasn't he looking for treasure just a couple stories ago with his brother and friend out there in the desert? I mean, weren't they the Conquistador Conquest? Weren't they late to dinner because they were out there digging for treasure? Weren't they? Wasn't he talking about playing treasure hunts for his friends growing up and hiding presents and looking for hunts for them? I mean, but no, he says that night at age 12, I became a treasure hunter. Something like that, I think, is he identifies, no matter what he says, no matter what the story says, no matter what he says or what the stories tell, he identifies himself as becoming a treasure hunter with this night at age 12, right? This one story, this was his genesis for everything that happens now. So that's something that I definitely will write down, right? We're not getting into the details of verbs and adverbs and pronouns and semicolons and counting down, which I don't know. I have so much notes. PD Pablo, I love you, dude. Like me and him grinded it out for 2 hours the other night, looking for all the 140 instances that time is mentioned in the book. We grinded it out and have some good notes. I'm not gonna throw them away. I won't burn them. I'll still keep them. But maybe the overall concept is, instead of noting down each time, just time. I mean, maybe it's just and stuff like this. I could see, I could very easily see Victoria Peak, or when he became a treasure hunter. I could see that being him putting that into a Netflix documentary very easily. Something as slipping in a book about Victoria Peak, slipping in a map in the background, having him frame it or position it near or casually gesture toward it, and that got cut out. I mean, I could see in my mind how something like that would happen, right? So that's just how we're going to be on this video, or on this, I don't know, I'm not a podcast, YouTube channel. On this YouTube channel, That's how we're going to try to go at least forward, at least until I get more information, or I'm enlightened in another aspect. But we're kind of be looking at big pictures and see how that applies. And how does that apply, Froggy? Oh, I'm glad you asked. So if we turn back to the poem, right? Where would Victoria Peak even fit in? I mean, are we looking for... I like the conquistador aspect. I like that he's very intentionally saying that the treasure has dubious or fluid origins, right? And one of them is conquistador, and he brings that up twice. And then the whole other conquistador chapter. So, I mean, are we thinking of Spanish kings and queens? Are we thinking of... Oh, I wish I could share that, but someone told me that in confidence. Are we thinking of... is that the kind of royalty we're looking for? Is that the kind of his and the her that we're looking for? Spanish kings and queens, or Spanish explorers in that area, or the names of Spanish missions. Is that what the hint is? What else? Learning tales, learning secrets from adults. Well, we know that that's a Posey family secret, right? The Posey. What's the exact words again? Look at me. I said we're not doing exact words again, and we're looking at exact words. Decades old family secret, right? So that's the decades old family secret. So I mean, secrets. Is that where the secrets live in time? Are we looking for a secret? And again, I don't think that the poem is going to ask you a question that the book answers, right? Because again, you have to be able to solve it from the book. So it's not that kind of play where the poem asks you a question, you have to go to the book. It's more like the book gives you information, and when you're reading the poem, that information clicks and connects. That's how I see it. Short video tonight, because I'm frankly exhausted. So the last thing I want to talk about is, again, I want to go over the new information that just came about from this last interview. And I've only listened to it twice. I still have to fully digest it and go on and do some more digesting. Because unlike the book, we can digest interviews that is where you want to digest. You want to spend like as much time as you can obsessing and categorizing and writing down and memorizing the exact words for Justin's answers in interviews, especially because he's only done 3 in one print, right? So he's not doing any more. So it's not that much information. It's probably less together than the book. Anyways, so Justin said the latest information we have is he took 4 trips. And here's why I think this is important. Not huge, right? But this is, I think, something to consider, especially as you're building your solve. So because I think of the weight, right? Because of the weight and because of the rehab and the fragility of his leg, tibia, he took 4 trips. He admitted that. He said he thought about it and gave us an exact answer. 4 trips to hide the treasure. And we know it's less than a mile. The number I like to use is 3/4 of a mile. It's what I like to use. It's just, if I did something at 3/4 of a mile and somebody asked me how far, and I would think about it and say a mile. It makes sense to me. It could be half a mile. I don't think it's 1/4 of a mile. That's way too easy. You gotta work for it a little bit, right? It's 3/4 of a mile makes sense to me. So let's do a little bit of math here. I know everybody loves math. This is one of those problems that you got in high school, like Johnny has 3 apples and Susie has 4, and they have to juggle 1 per square mile. Anyways, so he makes 4 trips. Let's use 1/4 of a mile. You can use a mile if you want. I'm using 3/4 of a mile, right? So he makes 4 trips. How long does it take you with a ginger leg, right? To gingerly go down a path, right? And we'll get to the path later, right? We'll get to that part later. But how long do you think it take you? Let's just say a track. Let's use flat track, blacktop. 10 minutes? Is that reasonable for a slow kind of walk to go 3/4 of a mile in 10 minutes? Is that fast? I want to err on the shorter side. All right, so I think maybe 15 might be more reasonable, but I'm gonna use 10 to just, let's assume the dude's super motivated, right, and just kind of doing a little gimpy little hop. All right, 10 minutes there, and let's just say no turnaround time, just 10 minutes back. That's 20 minutes. That's 1 trip. Times 4, that's 80. It's an hour and 20. Let's round up to an hour and a half, assuming a little bit of time on each end to, I don't know, have a snack or whatever. Hour and a half. So you've got almost, what, are we all assuming 7 figures? Am I the only one saying 7 figures? You've got 7 figures of stuff out in the middle alone. You're alone, because he said he went alone. He's the only one who knows. You're alone. You've got a bad leg, and some portion of it is unguarded. Well, guarded by like a locked car door. That's as much like we all know that doesn't keep everybody out. Hour and a half, and so here's where we get a little tricky. Is he within eyesight of the vehicle at all times? Is that something that that would make you feel a little more comfortable? So you just have to assume that wherever, or you don't have to assume, just I'm assuming, wherever you're going, if your solve has like steady traffic, I think if you're like an hour away from your solve and you're driving, you should be saying to yourself, man, I haven't seen a car in hours. That's what you should be saying. When you're at your solve, you shouldn't be able to hear traffic. The whole time you're there, the whole like time you're grid searching, you should not be able to hear any cars going by. And I think if you are, I think you're in the wrong spot. That's just my humble opinion, right? And so if we go a little bit more into the details, right? Because I can't get into details with the book because I threw that out the window. I'm looking for vague and generalities. So this is where I'm going to get into details in my little made-up scenarios with him hiding stuff, right? All this is based off of a couple sentences he said the other night. So in my mind, if I were going to do this, the land would have to be flat. We know it's not going to be a trail because he said it's not on a trail. Now trails are flat. Trails would have been great, but if it's not on a trail, and if you're looking for in the woods, so what? Now we're extending that time even more because now you got to hop over logs and thorns and woods and be careful of your step, right, on the rocks and whatnot. Not if you're in the desert, right? Flat. I mean, I just cannot get over my own bias. I know that, and I recognize it. And the first step of getting over bias is recognizing it. So I'm at the first step. I recognize I have a bias. Maybe eventually, someday, I'll be able to get over this New Mexican bias. But yeah, it just makes sense, right? If you do it at night. So if you do it at night, you can't do it if the terrain's any kind of sketch because one, that really destroys your mobility. Now you got to spend even longer. It's dangerous. So you have to do it in the day. But if you do that at night, you can tell when cars are coming because of the headlights. You'd be able to give yourself even more heads up, right? You go at night in the desert. I mean, it's going to be pretty flat. Okay, you got maybe like some holes. Yeah, I've been to the desert before. I know it's not like a brick blacktop, right? I know it's got, little cactuses and stuff like that. But I don't know. I could see him doing it at night for the extra security and protection and extra heads up, right? If you're during the day, your only indicators that someone's coming is the sound, right? You won't be able to see the headlights. You have to rely on sound. At night, doesn't sound travel farther at night? Did I just make that up? At night, you'd hear sound and you'd have the light indicator, right? So, I don't know. I think it just points to him needing a spot that would be alone and vacant. He can 100% guarantee alone and vacant for at least 2 hours. So he would need a spot, really, really, really off the beaten path, easily traversable. You can make him go a day if you want. He went a day or a night, whatever. Yeah, just think about that when you're doing your solve and you have your location and it's like next to, a popular trail or next to a major highway or next to, like, it's just that I just don't see that happening. Especially for someone who thinks of all the steps, right? It's very clear Justin has thought of like most steps going along the way, so he would have thought about this. In my mind, I don't know. That's the last 10 minutes I probably lost. When I watched that video analytics for this one, I'm going to bet like 70% of people turned off after like the minute 8. I don't know. I have fun. All right. Big news tomorrow, right? If you're still watching, Estes Quest 3 launches. So, I mean, anybody who follows, you'll get a notification once it goes live. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see, how people like the hunt, how they enjoy it, who's going to win. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to hear the stories. So, if you don't know about it, now you know. Estes Quest 3, I got my own little treasure hunt. Just watch my channel tomorrow, and the first clue will pop up. It's free to play. You can watch YouTube, and it'll give you a little 3-minute video. Yeah, that's all I want to cover for tonight. All right, guys, have fun. Be safe out there.